Joe Biden is who we thought he was. A new report from Politico reveals that Joe Biden is eyeing multiple Republicans for cabinet slots, including union-busting former Ohio Governor John Kasich and former Senate Republican Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona, who voted with Trump over 90% of the time at one point and finished his Senate career by voting with Trump 81% of the time. I said that letting the fox into the henhouse would not work out, aka embracing the war criminal adjacent grifters of the Lincoln Project. Then again, fetishizing working with Republicans, the party that's sole purpose is to hand the government over to corporations and elite interests, is nothing new for Joe Biden.
I get in trouble. I read in the New York Times today that that one of my problems is if I ever run for president, I like Republicans. Okay, well, bless me, Father, if I have sinned. But you know, from where I come from, I don't know how you get anything done. I don't know how you get anything done until we start talking to one another again.
Yeah, the left hates talking to people. I love how in these scenarios, one another is never the American people. It's just other Republican politicians, which I don't want you negotiating with other Republican politicians, especially when the Democrats are set to potentially have a supermajority if they take back the Senate. Did you not learn anything, Joe, from the fact that they smeared your supposed friend and running mate, Barack Obama, every time he tried to work with them as a terrorist sympathizer, as an illegitimate president born outside the country with racist smear jobs? They obstructed, and it didn't matter how many beers he had with Mitch McConnell. It still kept happening. But this is what Joe has done his entire career. And back to the fact, what he said about, talking to one another. Again, that's just talking amongst elite rulers of the country. If you actually talk to the American people, you would see that in a new poll from the New York Times that came out today, 2 out of 3 Americans want a government-run healthcare system. Americans want a Green New Deal. That's more popular than it's not popular. An overwhelming amount of Americans want legal marijuana, which is not Joe Biden's position. He's on the conservative end of that spectrum, as he is on most things when you look issue by issue. They want a massive stimulus. I think a $2 trillion stimulus has a plus 51% approval rating right now. Biden has not been campaigning on that because that would expose Nancy Pelosi for not really doing much and not accepting the $1.8 trillion bill that was right in front of her face for political considerations. They want college for all of these things. If you talked to people, Joe, you would see that the Republican agenda that you're embracing with this myth of bipartisanship where you get to feel like a good guy is actually harming the country. And it's actually not what the American people want at all. But what did we expect? Joe Biden's transition team is vetting a handful of Republicans for potential cabinet positions, despite doubts it will win him new support from the right and the risk it will enrage the left. Past presidents, including George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama, have all done the same, but that tradition died with President Donald Trump, and liberal Democrats are already warning that a Republican pick, even a moderate one, could sow distrust within the party before Biden even takes office. My primary concern is that he involves people in the cabinet who push back against corporate power and support a massive economic stimulus and the broad provision of health care, said David Siegel, the executive director of Demand Progress, a liberal advocacy group. Unfortunately, there are no prominent Republicans I know who are on board with that agenda. Again, also a popular agenda. Among the names being floated for possible Biden cabinet positions are Meg Whitman, the CEO of Quibi, which is a failing company, and former CEO of eBay, and former Ohio Governor John Kasich, both of whom spoke at August's Democratic National Convention. Massachusetts GOP Governor Charlie Baker and former Senator Jeff Flake have also been mentioned, as has former Representative Charlie Dent, who resigned from Congress in 2018 and became a lobbyist. Tapping a GOP candidate to lead a federal agency could be an easy and early way to reward Republicans who endorsed him before the election and signal his intent to bridge the country's partisan divide. Again, these Republican endorsements are not without strings, but it could also alienate Democrats already worried whether a nominee who has long styled himself as a moderate will pursue progressive policies once in office. I don't understand why someone who says, "I am the Democratic Party," would then hand benefits to someone who's not a Democrat, said Jeff Hauser, director of the Revolving Door Project, a left-leaning advocacy group he founded in 2015 to scrutinize executive branch appointees. Already, members of the Democratic left are making their opinions known. Left-wing lawmakers and progressive groups on Friday signed a letter saying no corporate executives or lobbyists should have Senate-confirmed positions in the Biden administration. Yeah, remember when they said Bernie wasn't the real Democrat? No, apparently a real Democrat puts Republicans in his cabinet, as the Republican Party gets more and more extreme. That means that the Republicans that you put in your cabinet are still on the right. There's no such thing as a moderate Republican anymore. They still don't get that because they're all friends. They're all in the same club. They said Joe would be the most progressive president since FDR. People said that with a straight face. That's what's required in this crisis. I have zero faith that he'll step up to the plate there, but the reason that this is troubling is because there was a silver lining about Joe Biden, in the fact that he is an empathetic person for those who are in the room. Not if you're someone who's black and you maybe were involved with drugs. Oh, he'll crack down on you, tough on crime with his crime bill, right? But if you're in the room and he's listening to you and having a one-on-one conversation, there is hope there. So it's super important who's in the room, who's in the cabinet. And the fact that he's not learned from so many years of GOP abuse directed at his friend, Obama. He dealt with it for 8 years as VP. It's immensely discouraging. He has the capacity to make the right decisions if there are people in the room who are pushing him towards that. These aren't the right people.